In my video reviewing She-Hulk issue 14, I had said I was aiming to get my review on issue 15 out before Halloween. Now it's almost Christmas and I'm just getting to this video. This is actually the final issue of the entire series, with She-Hulk getting a new title recently where it continues to develop plots that were set up in this series, such as the Jack of Hearts relationship. However, I don't know if I'll be reviewing that series, at least not yet, because I am very slow paced in reviewing any ongoing series. Therefore, I just wanted to make sure I finished this series because there is only one issue left, and somehow catch up with the current issues of Poison Ivy, Batman Inc, and Scarlet Witch, all of which I've read, I just haven't reviewed. Because recording and editing and scripting and everything takes a lot of time, and I'm no longer rushing the process of making my videos, so I'm taking my time, and because of that, it takes a long time. I had even wanted to add the Uncanny Spider-Man comic to my rotation of reviews for my channel. However, I just couldn't, because if I did that, I would know that my reviews for comic book series would just dominate my entire channel, which isn't what I want. I want my channel to have a variety of content, not just comic book reviews, but instead examinations of characters and etc. Or just making random videos because I feel like talking about what I want to talk about that day. And reviewing about 5 to 6 series at one point would just not let me do that. So instead, I'm finishing She-Hulk, and I'm going to be continuing to review Poison Ivy, Batman Inc, and Scarlet Witch. However, I don't think I'll be adding any more comic book series to my review rotation anymore. At least for a while, because I need to catch up on those series before I start reading another one. We start the final issue of the series off with the Fight Club, which has certainly been one of my favorite parts of this run, with this club now getting custom-made jackets. And this Fight Club consists of Titania, The Thing, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Volcana, and She-Hulk. But Jen is running late because, unknown to them, she is currently dealing with a newer villain. That, of course, being the Scoundrel. We cut to the Scoundrel's ship where we see he's facing off against She-Hulk above Manhattan, with the Scoundrel having recently sold a bomb to a group of aliens to blow up New York. Which is why She-Hulk must stop him and warn the heroes of said aliens. Jen tries to call Jack to warn him about the current plans to attack New York, hoping he would get in contact with the other heroes. And while she leaves a message, she doesn't pick up, and she doesn't get the chance to call him again because Scoundrel breaks her phone, not allowing to get a message out there to anyone else about the attack. Therefore, it depends on Jack actually receiving said message, something that Jen isn't certain about. Therefore, it is of course a dire situation. Jen demands that he lands the ship, so she can figure something out due to the fact that she can't when she is trapped in said ship. But he fights back, not wanting to be in New York since it could be dangerous. Jen then just kicks the crap out of him when they're interrupted by a noise, which I do think it is very fitting that she beat him this time, because in the series so far we've seen them fight a couple times, and most of the time he typically gets away because she's not anticipating him to be so strong. This time, though, she actually wins, which I do think was important to have for the final issue. Although I suppose one could also argue that he is holding back because he likes her, kinda. But he's shown to also be very selfish and clearly wanted to not be in New York when the aliens attack. Who are the ones who made that noise that interrupted their fight? Which is also heard by the group of heroes and villains who played a pretty big part in this series, that being the Fight Club. The Thing of which and Titania being supporting characters in this series while other characters feel more like guest stars. But I am surprised that the Thing in this series overall felt like a major character. They see a horde of aliens coming out of a spaceship into a park. And then, across New York, there are even more. I am slightly confused as to why we don't see any other heroes active, because this is New York, there are a lot of superheroes. However, we only see these characters. Which does make sense since they are the main focus of this series, being She-Hulk's close friends, and even Titania, who is kind of like a frenemy. But it is still a little bit weird to me that Iron Man and Spider-Man and Captain America, nobody showed up to aliens attacking New York. The Scoundrel tries to convince Jen to just leave with them and let New York deal with the alien problem themselves. Which, to be fair, even though it's just joking about it, there are probably other heroes dealing with this behind the scenes. And or off panel where we don't see them. But Jen, at the same time, is the only one who knows about the bomb. Therefore, of course, she needs to get that out there. And also, the scoundrel did just attempt to blow up New York, therefore she, of course, is no longer into him. Which she might have never actually been, however, it is slightly hinted that she might have at one point. She ties him up to get him out of the way, although, I will admit, there was a bit of a joke I did not see coming. About how the scoundrel kinda is into it, being tied up. That seems a bit adult for this series. It's funny, don't get me wrong, but that's very adult. Jen rips open a hole in the spaceship and jumps out into New York to join the fight. Which, I have to admit, is pretty cool. What an exit. Jen warns her team of heroes and villains who are fighting in the park against the aliens, where she and Thing look for the bomb in question. Luckily, Jack shows up and can read the nuclear energy of said bomb, and knows where it's coming from, which is a fountain. The bomb does go off, but he does absorb it, saving the city, leading to Jack explaining that the only reason why he actually showed up was because he got Jen's voicemail. Which is also the reason why Jen had to call him and not the Fantastic Four like the scoundrel predicted she would. Because Jack absorbed the entirety of the nuclear energy, he is maxed out, meaning he can't absorb anything more. Which, therefore, he can kiss Jen without taking any of her gamma energy. Which is a very special moment for both of them, before he flies off to throw this energy into the sun. And that's it. The conclusion of this series is a very happy one. It makes you hyped for She-Hulk to return, but maybe not for the right reasons. It makes a lot of groundwork for what is to come in her new series in Sensational She-Hulk. A lot of this series feels like it's building up to something more. And that more seems to be that series, which is weird to me because I think they should have just continued this one. The majority of the plot lines introduced in this series will be concluded in that one, or at least more developed, which is an odd choice in my personal opinion. I think this series should have just kept going instead of relaunching it. And by relaunching it, I just mean immediately relaunching it. Because Sensational She-Hulk has already started, and I'm pretty sure it's 3 issues in as of this video. However, this series overall I think is very good, even if it does kind of feel like it's setting something up that it itself isn't for itself, by technical standards. Because technically it is, but it's not the same series that's being developed for Sensational She-Hulk. Does that make sense? It makes sense to me, but it might not make sense at all. The ending also could be argued to have made Jack the hero, not Jen, which could potentially anger some people. But I would counter-argue it was a team effort. Jen was the one that got out of the spaceship, defeated the scoundrel who was the main villain of this arc, and the one who was smart enough to contact Jack about it because she knew that he could absorb the nuclear energy. Therefore, I think they are both the hero. But I also can see why some would be upset that Jen didn't deal with the bomb, and Jack did. But I'm not entirely sure how Jen would have, in a way that doesn't involve contacting Jack. The ending also wasn't as emotional as previous issues were. In fact, I think maybe they should have saved She-Hulk breaking the fourth wall once again for this ending. Because then it would have felt more full circle. Due to the fact that the character started off breaking the fourth wall in her original series. So to have her do it at the end of this series, I think would have made the series overall feel more like a fan service She-Hulk run, which I think would have been a good idea because She-Hulk has a lot of fans, even if the Disney Plus show did not do well. But comic She-Hulk does have a lot of fans. And even though that this series, of course, would not have been the end for Jen, I think having her break the fourth wall at the very end of it would have helped this ending feel more concluded. Because its ending wasn't really its ending, it's continuing in the next series. But despite that, it's still a good ending for what it was. I think it was actually pretty cool to see Jen finally win against a scoundrel, as well as jump out of a literal spaceship into New York. Total bad ASS move. And I really like in this series seeing Titania and Volcana become more heroic, as well as the Thing and Jen having a friendship that kind of makes me think they're best friends. Which I would love to see more of, because I think that idea really works for the characters. They have very similar personalities. For them to be friends, and not just friends but best friends, it makes a lot of sense. And while yes, Titania has been a hero before, or flirted with being one, this is the first time I think the character has really took the first step to becoming one. joining a team that is mainly just heroes in Volcana, which also feels like she's becoming more of a hero. Even joining a superhero book club in this series, which I thought was great. This series overall, I think, was very good, even if the ending, I think, could have been better. But yet again, it technically isn't even the ending. The Scoundrel and April are also both confirmed to return in the new She-Hulk comic. Both villains introduced in this series. Therefore, I have a feeling that the next series will continue to have a lot of plot lines from this series concluded or more developed. It already has been doing that, but I think it's just going to get even more in the realm of borrowing plot lines from this series, which I'm okay with because I did like a lot of this series and I hope to see more of it, even if it isn't in this series. I've been actually reading the new She-Hulk comic, that being the Sensational She-Hulk, even if I haven't been reviewing it. And so far, I will say I do like it, but it does, at the same time, not really feel like it needed to be relaunched. It still feels just a continuation of this series. But that is my own personal opinion, and you can disagree with me. And that's it. Like always, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!